You've got it all planned out. The three-car garage with the polished concrete floors and the perfect lighting, the vintage Porsche 911 in one bay, the modern supercar in another, maybe a classic muscle car rounding out the collection, each one perfectly restored, perfectly maintained, perfectly positioned under custom car covers. You imagine walking into that space every morning, choosing which masterpiece to drive based on your mood, the weather, the occasion. You picture friends visiting and being genuinely impressed by your taste, your success, your ability to curate automotive excellence. This is it. This is the end point. Once you have these cars, once you've built this collection, you'll finally be satisfied. But here's what you don't realize yet. The dream garage is always better in your head than it is in your driveway. And the moment you complete it, the moment you park that final car and step back to admire your achievement, you'll feel something you weren't expecting, not satisfaction. Emptiness. Chapter 1. The Fantasy of Completion. The dream garage isn't really about cars, it's about the promise of enough. The belief that somewhere out there is a combination of machines that will finally make you stop wanting, stop searching, stop feeling like something's missing from your automotive life. You spend hours curating the perfect collection in your mind. Not just any cars, but the right cars. The ones that represent different moods, different eras, different aspects of your personality. The track day car, the weekend cruiser, the daily, that's too nice to actually daily. Each one serves a purpose in the grand narrative of your automotive identity. The fantasy isn't just about ownership, it's about transformation. You imagine that having these specific cars will make you a different kind of person, more sophisticated, more successful, more complete. The garage becomes a symbol of having made it, of reaching the point where you can stop striving and start enjoying. But the fantasy requires perpetual incompleteness to survive. The moment it becomes reality, the moment you actually have everything you thought you wanted, the dream collapses under the weight of its own fulfillment. Chapter 2. The Curator's Dilemma. Once you start building a collection, you stop being a driver and start being a curator. Every car becomes part of a larger vision, and that vision requires maintenance, both mechanical and aesthetic. You become obsessed with preservation, with keeping everything perfect, with maintaining the illusion that you've assembled something meaningful. The cars stop being tools for experience and become objects for display. You worry about miles, about depreciation, about maintaining their investment value. You start driving them less because driving means wear, and wear means the collection becomes less perfect. You begin to see your garage through other people's eyes. Will they understand the significance of this particular model year? Will they appreciate the rarity of that specific color combination? Will they recognize the thoughtfulness behind the selection? The cars become conversation pieces rather than driving experiences. And slowly, without noticing, you become a custodian of your own dreams. Instead of the cars serving you, you serve them. Instead of freedom, you've created responsibility. Instead of satisfaction, you've built an elaborate prison of your own making. Chapter 3. The Moving Target. Just when you think you've completed the collection, something changes. A new model is released that suddenly makes one of your cars feel outdated. A classic you never considered becomes available at a price you can almost justify. Your taste evolves, and the cars that once represented your perfect vision now feel like compromises. The dream garage becomes a moving target. There's always one more car that would complete it, one more space that needs filling, one more hole in the collection that demands attention. Complete turns out to be a temporary state, not a permanent destination. You start rearranging the collection in your mind. Maybe the muscle car doesn't fit anymore. Maybe you need something more exotic, more rare, more representative of who you've become. The garage that was supposed to represent arrival becomes evidence of perpetual dissatisfaction. Each edition promises to be the final piece, the car that finally makes everything perfect. But perfection keeps receding, always just one purchase away. The collection grows, but the sense of completion never comes. Chapter 4: The Isolation of Achievement. Here's what nobody tells you about having your dream garage. It can be profoundly lonely. The cars that were supposed to bring you joy often sit unused, too valuable to risk, too perfect to disturb. You find yourself looking at them more than driving them, admiring them more than enjoying them. The garage becomes a museum of your own success, beautiful but sterile. The cars lose their identity as machines and become trophies, symbols of what you've achieved, rather than tools for what you want to experience. The collection impresses visitors, but leaves you feeling disconnected from the very passion that drove you to build it. You realize that the cars you drove most, loved most, remember most, weren't the ones in your dream garage. They were the imperfect ones, the ones you couldn't worry about damaging because they were already damaged, the ones that demanded your participation rather than your preservation. The dream garage provides security but removes spontaneity. It offers status but eliminates soul. It gives you everything you thought you wanted while taking away everything that made you want it in the first place. Chapter 5: The Alternative Dream. Maybe the dream garage isn't about having all the right cars. Maybe it's about having the right relationship with whatever cars you have. Maybe it's about a single bay with a single car that you drive the hell out of, maintain yourself, and know inside and out. Maybe it's about the garage that smells like oil and rubber and hard work, where the cars show evidence of being loved through use rather than preserved through avoidance. Maybe it's about the space where you go to turn wrenches, solve problems, and get your hands dirty in service of the experience rather than the image. The garage that never feels empty isn't full of perfect cars. It's full of perfect moments. The satisfaction of diagnosing a problem and fixing it yourself. The joy of taking a car that's been sitting too long and bringing it back to life. The peace of working on something with your hands while your mind processes the day. Maybe your dream garage isn't a collection at all. Maybe it's a workshop, a place where cars come to be understood, improved, and properly used. A space that serves the experience of driving rather than the appearance of success. Because here's the truth, garages don't feel empty because they lack cars. They feel empty because they lack purpose. Fill them with purpose, with work, with learning, with the tools and mess and ongoing projects of someone who loves cars for what they do rather than what they represent, and they'll never feel empty again. Your dream garage isn't about the cars you park there. It's about the person you become by working there. And that person doesn't need a perfect collection to feel complete. They just need something to drive, something to work on, and somewhere to do it. The garage stops feeling empty when you stop treating it like a showroom and start treating it like what it was always meant to be, a place where the love of cars gets lived out loud.